Hi everybody. My name is Jerry Wise, and I'm a life and relationship coach, and I've been in the people helping business for 45 years or so. And this video is entitled Moving from Cause and Effect Thinking to Process Thinking. I'm doing a brief series. This is number 2. I hope you'll watch number 1, which was my previous video. And I hope that you'll join this YouTube channel. I hope you'll support the YouTube channel by joining as a member for a small amount each month to help bring free videos to this, to the audience and those who want this kind of information. And then also there's a workshop coming up on February 6th, coming up very shortly, 2021. On Saturday, the entire afternoon. You can join me and other participants in that workshop entitled Getting Your Family of Origin Out of You. And I hope you'll join me for that. And you can sign up on the link below. I think there's also might be a link here on the video itself. This particular video, again, is moving from a cause and effect thinking to process thinking. And why is that important? It is important because it gives us more options as to how we can change ourselves in the system and how we can change the relationship system if we can see more and zoom out. This series, the first video was shifting from feelings to thinking, and that's the name of it. Moving from feelings to thinking is the name of the video. This one is moving from cause and effect to process thinking, and then the third one will be moving from a focus on self to a focus on the system. And I want to thank Peter Titelman in his book, The Therapist's Own Family, which is a great family systems book. I think every therapist should read it. So let's talk about moving from cause and effect to process thinking. I think about a situation that I was involved in recently in which a son an adult son, was asked by his alcoholic or narcissistic father to bring his sister, who's also an adult, to live with him because she was under functioning and having trouble with drugs or other kinds of difficulties. And he felt compelled to do that. And so he went and got his sister, and then he, again, was hoping Dad would be supportive because he was supporting his sister. His dad was supporting his sister financially. His dad's a successful man and well-to-do, and so he was able to support his sister, but doesn't support his son, and really never has. He's kind of the scapegoat, over-functioner, and the sister's kind of the golden child, under-functioner. And so Dad said, well, you need to go get her and bring her to your place. And then he wasn't going to help with that. So he gives the son a call. The son feels he needs to overfunction at this point. And then as he complains, well, my dad always dumps on me. My family always dumps on me. And then he always ignores me. He doesn't support me, but he'll support my sister with anything she wants, even if it's not healthy or enables my sister. But he always calls on me, but won't pay for his choices. And so he feels very victimized, and he feels blaming of his father, which in the thumbnail for this video, I show a mallet hitting you on the head, which is the cause and effect thinking. And then in the mallet, I show all the different things that are going into this mallet. It's not just Dad's choices that go into the mallet. It's also the son's choices as well. Because we have an over-functioning son, under-functioning sister, an enabling father who's unhealthy. And again, that's a whole cause and effect way of looking at it. And so he continues to try to get his dad to function and send him money to help support his sister since she's living there. And he ignores him and doesn't send the kind of help that would be helpful for him to take care of his sister, at least for a while, until she can move back home with her mother or whatever plans for the future. And so if we move to a more processed thinking of this particular problem, and again, it's easy to blame dad, feel victimized, and when we're blaming and victimized, we generally are thinking in a cause and effect way. He is doing this to me. I'm hurt, end of story, and that's what's going on. So I either need to change him or I need to change me. But when we're thinking cause and effect, we often want to change the person with the mallet. We want to change that person. And we don't think about changing ourselves because we feel like a victim of the system. Because this is the way the son's always functioned for many, many years. So as we think about this as a process, and let's think through this. We have an alcoholic, narcissistic parent who is feeling a considerable amount of anxiety over his golden child daughter, wants her taken care of. He feels anxiety. He shifts the anxiety over to the son by saying, you need to go get her and you need to take care of her till we can figure out something. Even though it costs you money or you have to take care of her, though the dad was taking care of her down in where she was at. And so then he stops sending that help. He just wants the son to do that. Whereas the daughter's always been dependent on the dad for all of her life and expenses. And the son then is in denial about what he can expect from an alcoholic narcissistic father. He thinks dad should act right. Well, an alcoholic narcissistic dad is not going to act right. To even expect that is unrealistic. Second of all, he's also in denial of his own codependency and his own overfunctioning. Dad will ask or expect and then not give or help. Then that creates lots of anxiety within the son because he's expecting son to do this, and even talks about how it would really be a loving family spirit if you did this. Well, dad doesn't do a loving family spirit. The son needs to do a loving family spirit thing. So he's very do as I say, not as I do, which often is the case for narcissists or alcoholics. The son then overfunctions out of his anxiety. He does worry about his sister, but he can't fix her. And he feels pressure from dad to do this, so he's feeling lots of anxiety, and so he overfunctions. He goes and gets her, brings her back, and then she comes there, and dad basically goes, oh, well, there's no hurry to help financially because she's in a better spot. I don't have to worry about her now. Well, he's dropped her off on his son's doorstep, which then does what? Raises resentment and anger in the son for how the dad is treating the son, and also resentment and anger because the daughter is so underfunctioning and hasn't grown up, even though she's an adult, because she's always been babied or the golden child. So she feels entitled. And then when he tries to reach out to dad to try to get him to, hey, can you send me some financial help because you asked me to go help my sister, etc. Oh, yeah, I need to do that. I'll do that. And dad just forgets it. He doesn't care. It's not a big issue. It's not a big concern on his part because he doesn't have the daughter living with him. The son has the daughter living with him. So there's no pressure on him to do anything. The problem has been temporarily solved because the daughter was so underfunctioning, either in drug addiction or problems that she was having, and a very bad boyfriend who was abusive and all of that. So now dad's relieved. Well, she's out of that situation. Hey, problem solved. But it's now solved on the back of the son. And then the son, in his pendulum type swinging that we do as codependents, then either complies to resolve his anxiety. Okay, I'll go get my sister, and that will resolve the immediate concern or problem. But then there can be moving back to the other swing of the pendulum, where we then feel angry, resentful, or we want to blow up with dad to try to get him to change and to be supportive of what he's asked me to do, or the son to do. Unfortunately, this pattern reinforces the dad to continue to do this, because he knows his son will always give in to that underfunctioning, and he will overfunction. The son will overfunction. And it just tells him that's going to keep happening, and that he can be okay with asking for these things. He can tolerate the compliance. Dad can tolerate the anger or resentment. Because the one thing he doesn't have to do in this scenario is change himself. He doesn't have to change himself if we're just swinging back and forth. And I think that happens with parenting as well. When you have a child and we'll either let it go or ignore a problem with a child, or we'll become angry and upset with a child, many times a child will say, I can accept either of those options as long as I don't have to change. Just because dad yells or just because mom puts me in a corner, I can deal with that and I'll keep doing my behavior because I can tolerate their swings. And I know they're going to swing, so I don't need to change because they haven't been definitive or put their foot down and let me feel the great part of the consequences. They feel the consequences. Mom and dad for the son, not in this instance, but if you have a child, we feel the consequences. We're upset with their behavior. What we want to do is shift that to where I'm not upset, but now you're going to be upset with the consequences of your behavior. So I want to shift that to them rather than me being the one upset. Okay, well then we have certain punishments or consequences that will happen in which they feel uncomfortable. You don't get to visit Tommy's house. You don't get to watch TV. So you feel the unhappiness rather than me feeling the unhappiness for your behavior. So back to our father, son, daughter scenario. And again, the daughter's a golden child, and dad's always preferred her over the son. Doesn't care much for the son, but he's the good overfunctioner. And he's not done bad things, but he's scapegoated, and it becomes a real problem. And then he gets the expectations to take care of everybody. And dad looks at the daughter as, oh, that's my golden child, I need to take care of her, to the exclusion of everybody else. So how is this a problem when we think about cause and effect thinking to process thinking? When we have cause and effect thinking, it's easy for us to focus on the mallet. Dad's doing something to me. Sister is doing something to me. It's easy to stay zoomed in that cause and effect type of thinking. But then who am I leaving out in the functioning when I zoom into the cause and effect thinking? I'm leaving out my functioning and my choices and decisions in that. I'm just a victim. It's just happening to me. And now I'm mad and angry about it. And then that leads to blaming. If only they would do this. If only dad would do that. If only my sister would grow up and go get a job or go to school or something. Do something healthy. If only thinking comes in and blaming. Process thinking focuses on the what versus the why. What is going on? And when I was trying to describe the anxiety as it flowed down through all of these folks, and I could add the daughter and her anxiety too, but as I as I talk about that anxiety, I'm talking about what's going on, not necessarily why are they doing it. They are doing it because they're out of their anxiety. That's the way they've learned to do it. And probably the family has learned to do it for generations, because dad grew up in an abusive home. He may have been a protector of his sister growing up. And so now he's going to protect his daughter. And that comes from his past, and he feels really anxious when his daughter is under functioning. And then that anxiety gets pushed out to daughter, to son, and all of this chaos then ensues. And what we often miss in cause and effect thinking is my role in the process, my functioning in the process. We stay focused on sister, dad, and blame them for my discomfort, versus all the interactive chain of events, or as I talk about, the anxiety hot potato that gets passed back and forth that keeps everybody functioning as they always have. And I want to get rid of the hot potato. And the hot potato is that anxiety that propels me and compels me to overfunction, underfunction. And so that's where differentiation or detachment really helps us to grow, because then we're not just a victim of that hot potato going all around the system. And we begin to see how we fuel this interaction. And so what are the benefits of thinking this way, in a process way versus cause and effect? We see more, and so we zoom out so we can see more of what's going on. We also see more ways to alter the process, because in any one of those steps that I described of that anxiety coming down from daughter to dad to son, we can do a block of that anxiety at that point if we're willing to do the work. And we focus on us as a means of change versus blaming, triangulating. Oh, I'll go tell somebody how awful this was. You don't know, my dad's crazy, my sister's crazy, da-da-da-da-da. Well, yeah, and you get all of their craziness aimed at you. It also empowers us to interact with greater calmness if we see the system. It empowers us when we calm down and go, wait a minute, what am I feeling anxious about? What am I worried about? I need to work on that, because that will help me to be an adult that makes intentional choices for me and for them in a healthy way. For example, one example might be, okay, Dad, knowing this is the way Dad operates, I will have, she can come and live with me for 1 month. And then after 1 month, she's either going back into the same situation she was in, or she can go live with Mom. That's my boundary. So I'm giving, but I'm not totally surrendering to whatever Dad wants and his neglect and his lack of help, which we already know is probably coming because we know him, though we tend to be in denial about that. And so that greater calmness helps us to use process thinking better. It helps us to intervene better and to make different choices. Because I might have said, another choice we might have, instead of just being anxious when Dad calls, because he's bringing the anxiety to you, is to go, I'm going to stay calm. It sounds like my sister needs to go live with Mom. Why don't you either fly her there, give her a bus ticket, and let her go live with Mom? That would be the best thing. Because in the back of my mind, which I'm not saying, is that this isn't going to work out well. He's not going to support me. He's just going to dump her onto me, and I'll have to take care of her. And this is going to be a problem. And I can't fix her anyway, and she's not looking for help. She's never had to look for help. She's been enabled, entitled, coddled, and been the golden child and not had to grow up. Well, now, am I supposed to grow her up? Am I supposed to parent her now? And it becomes a real problem. And so again, it helps us if we can learn to look at things in a process way versus a cause and effect way. And I think that there are some books by like Harriet Lerner, The Dance of Anger. And her books start with the word dance. Because instead of cause and effect, which is A causes B, she talks about it being a dance that is a process. The dance of anger, which has to do with women, females, and their mothers. Though it's very helpful for men as well. The dance of connection, the dance of intimacy, the dance of fear. And she uses the word dance because it is a systemic problem, not just a cause and effect problem. I want to thank you for listening today. Please join this YouTube channel, support our channel, sign up for the workshop on February 6th, Getting Your Family of Origin Out of You. And again, you have a great day and be wise.